Hello, and thank you for joining me again today for Astrology in the News. And today is April 25th, 2018. And of course, if you want to book a consultation with me one-on-one, just go ahead and hit me up at nobsyoga.com and click on Book a Consultation. So, of course, we start each one with each cast with Yogic Wisdom of the Day. This isn't exactly Yogi, it was by Eckhart Tolle, but all problems are illusions of the mind, which is kind of yoga related, right? Because yoga is about the study of consciousness trapped within space, time, and reality, right? Don't mind the bees, though, because those definitely are not an illusion, especially if you're here in Arizona, man. I ran into one of those like the other day, and I hear that killer bees, when they're actually in that mode, are docile because they already ate a whole bunch of honey and stuff like that. So it's pretty much like right after the family reunion, and they had a whole bunch of beers, and they're just kind of chilling out there in the tree. So Bill Cosby's second trial goes to jury, and they're going to try to decide his fate again. Not sure if this is an appeal or if this is a retrial. Oh yeah, it's a retrial because it was a hung jury. And of course, Bill took care of the jury's refreshment, so they won't be deliberating anytime soon. You know, he's trying to bide his time. But I think they do in a locked room, so those ladies are safe. So taking a look at Bill's chart, I actually do have a birth time for Bill Cosby. And this actually puts him in the Pisces ascendant with Saturn in the first house. Now, when we're going to take a look at his success, I take a look here at Venus in the third house. This shows like the third house is about comedy, writing, and also too, the sign of Taurus is about the what is it? The performing arts, and also too just anything with art and comedy. And then of course Gemini here with his sun. Gemini is all about broadcast and being up in front of people, right? And then going through his chart now, Mercury's a little bit difficultly placed here. It's like right on the sign, on the cusp here of Gemini and Cancer. And when a sign is on, or I'm sorry, when a planet is on the cusp of the sign, it makes it weak. And of course, Bill Cosby's birth time is shown as 2:30. He could, if he's born a half hour like before or after, his Mercury's going to be actually in the sign of Gemini, which changes the whole dynamic. Let's see, Moon in Leo, not surprised about there. A lot of actors and politicians have the Moon in Leo. Let's see, the Mars here is in the sign of Libra, and when this is in the 1, 2, 3, so okay, this is in the 8th house. So Mars in the 8th house does show infidelity, and it's not necessarily infidelity. It's only infidelity if they're in a traditional marriage. So if you have Mars in the 8th house, usually it means you have a very high libido. So you either match the like energies or you go somewhere else. So if you're trying to look for compatibility, just be aware if you have Mars in the 8th house, that is a sign that you really like to have sex. Same with Rahu here. Is like, so if you had like Rahu, Mars, and all here in the sign of Scorpio in the 8th house, my God, I mean, this guy would probably be, I don't know, a slut. Then let's see, he has Jupiter here. Now his Jupiter is also not in the best placement here, and this is the ruler of his ascendant, so that can be a difficult, especially when you go through your dasha. But if you take a look at his dasha chart, he's going through his Saturn dasha, and right now he's in his Saturn moon. So if you take a look at this, okay, so the moon is in the 6th house, and the 6th house is about litigation. Will he be successful on this? If we take a look at where the sun is in the 4th house, and the deposit of Mercury. You know what? I'm looking at this. I think they're going to get him on something here because really the 6th house is about litigation, and you want a strong 6th house in order to win the litigation. When the moon is there, you tend to be influenced. Like the moon is very easily influenced, so it's not strong. But if you have like Saturn or Mars or Rahu there, that is really great for pending litigation, or at least being victorious. All right, Kanye, good old Kanye. Yeah. Kanye tweets support for Trump, man. Okay, so everybody's going crazy about this because he sent a couple of tweets out about Trump, and of course he's black and he can't leave the tent, and now he's betraying everybody. And perhaps Trump really gets around, and he's maybe satisfied that he's keeping keeping Kim busy for a little while so he doesn't have to deal with her. Now, of course, Kanye got a birth time for him, and he's got a very interesting chart. So I will direct you. First of all, Mars is exalted, okay? And it's conjunct almost exactly Venus, and this is in the 11th house. So when Mars and Venus are conjunct tightly, usually it means like an aggressive lover, specifically about this. And this person, I mean, he's also too very aggressive in trying to network and get friends as well. So I know Kanye is he's very vocal on Twitter. He sends out a lot of tweets. Now his ascendant is in Gemini, so Gemini people tend to be odd. I mean, it's not that there's anything wrong with them. It's just that the way that they process information, they're called a divergent thinker. So naturally, what they do is they're able to see the whole picture, and it's hard for them to take their ideas and put them down into concrete form unless Mercury is well placed. Now, for him, his Lagna Lord is in the 12th house here, conjunct the Sun and Jupiter, and neither of those planets are too well placed in Taurus. The Sun is okay, but they're also in the 12th house, so he may actually lose in trying to communicate his ideas. And you know, another thing too is he might actually expose a lot of his own personal secrets by talking too much. So that's just one of those things with Mercury in the 12th house there. Let's see, Saturn's also fairly difficultly placed here in the, I like to touch my chin, by the way. I'm trying to grow a beard and it's not being very successful. So Saturn is in the second house here in the sign of Cancer, and it's very difficultly placed. But if you take a look at the moon here, the moon is also in the sign of and Saturn's sign of Aquarius. So when both of these switch signs, it actually gives it a little bit of strength. And this is an exchange of the let's see, that's the ninth and second lord. So this is going to help money. Okay, money actually too by traveling, and of course being a musician, they have to travel around. So now one of the things that I do want to point out here in Kanye's chart is the south node of the moon here is like almost right at the end of the zodiac. This is a very spiritual placement, but it functions in a different kind of way. It's not like an overt spirituality. People that have K2 really get close to the end of the zodiac and also in the sign of Pisces, their spirituality is so way beyond what other people understand. They really don't show it. It's also too shows like in a past life, he was innately spiritual and he probably wanted to be famous, got reincarnated into this life, and he brought all that stuff over. So if you want to have kind of an idea of what your past life was about, you take a look at the fifth house, which is it's called Purva Punya, and that's Sanskrit for past life credits. And then also to the south node of the moon kind of shows you where you were coming from, or at least the skill set that you're naturally good at that you've developed in a past life. Moving on, the U.S. is now 45th on the Press Freedom Index, and this really doesn't surprise me. This is one of the things that we're seeing right now with the age of Aquarius, and if you saw that in the description, the age of Aquarius, we're seeing a lot of things break up, and really to me, the age of Aquarius means information. How is information shared? How do people access information? And so you see with the advent of places like YouTube, information is being shared broadly, and so now the people that normally hold the information don't want the information to get out. And speaking of, gee, I wonder why, YouTube censorship, man, I tell you, we're starting to see this more on social media platforms like YouTube, Facebook, you name them. I haven't heard anything about like, let's see, Google Plus. I don't think anybody really uses Google Plus, but I mean, really, when we're taking a look at this here, we need to keep a look at the Pluto, and when Pluto starts to get into sidereal or Vedic Capricorn here, that's when we're going to really start seeing some hardcore institutional change, like banks, higher education. Let's see, what else is Capricorn? Government too. So really, when Pluto works its way through that sign of Capricorn, a lot of the things that are building up right now are going to crack, and they're going to reorder themselves, because when Pluto transits through the sign of Capricorn, it's not that long of a transit. I think it lasts about 13 years. So, you know, during that 13 years, that's when we're going to start going into more of like a new age. And when Pluto works its way into the sign of Aquarius, that's when you know the real age of Aquarius has begun, because out of this kind of out of all this chaos of Pluto transit through Capricorn, when Pluto gets into Aquarius, it's kind of like a restructuring, or kind of like an age of enlightenment. So it's getting really fascinating to see what happens down the road. So, all right, that's all I had for today. Thank you for joining me, and of course, if you want to book a consultation, go to No Big Secrets Yoga or NoBSYoga.com and click on Book a Consultation. Let's see, 80 bucks for an hour, 50 bucks for a half hour. That's cheap. So, and I provide good services. You can check out my Thumbtack reviews on there. So, all right, everybody, have a great day, and hopefully I'll see you tomorrow.